people have wanted to figure it out on their own. And they have figured it out on their own. And it's just incredible. Like now we have all these people who are experimenting with different wallets, who are really well versed in all of this, who were completely new to Bitcoin before they downloaded one of our games. And I think that's just something super incredible that I don't see in any other use case. Like I don't see the same, for most other things, like even podcasting, you know what I mean? Like you still have to get sats to participate, right? So you still have to go through that normal flow. Gaming is, I think, completely unique, and I think we can really create a lot of Bitcoiners this way.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Changing the Tide. Super stoked today. I have Desiree Dickerson, CEO and co-founder of THNDR Games, formerly of Lightning Labs. Just an exciting episode to have her on to talk about Bitcoin gaming and what that's going to do in terms of creating new Bitcoiners, especially in a world where 60% of games now are mobile, which is more than desktop and console combined. Can you imagine that? I grew up playing a console, first Sega Genesis, then Nintendo 64, and I'm not a huge gamer, but man, now I play a ton of THNDR games because I can win Bitcoin. But excited to have her on to just talk about her vision for that. Full disclosure, I forgot to look at the Clark Moody dashboard before the episode, and so don't really have any stats on that, but it was somewhere in the block height of 714,100 something, and we are past 90% issued, so we are literally staring down the barrel of 10% of Bitcoin that will ever be mined are left to be mined. Clark put out a tweet the other day about how the next 5% will take about 4 years, and then the next 5% beyond that will take about 100, which is incredible. The UTXO set is over 77,500,000, and the chain size is just over 430 gigabytes. So still easily runnable on your own node, which is incredible. 14,748 reachable Bitcoin nodes. Literally 27 just came online. As I was looking at it, 51% of those are Tor nodes. And there are 3,292.8 Bitcoin locked up in 18,617 nodes on the Lightning Network. And 75% of those are Tor nodes. So that's pretty incredible. In any case, excited to get into this episode with Des, and I really think you're going to enjoy it. Welcome to the show, Des.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be on. I know I've been a little bit hard to pin down, so I'm super excited to be back to the podcasting game with you.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I know a lot's been going on in your life, some family stuff as far as health, but also congrats on CEO and co-founder at THNDR Games.
Thank you. I mean, honestly, it's definitely a dream come true. Every day I just kind of wake up and I'm like, oh my God, is this real? I'm just waiting for, it's, it's hard. It's very hard work, but I never thought that, that I would wake up and be able to make video games and work on Bitcoin. What? I don't know what I did to win this lottery. It's it's so much fun. So, yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I know you guys are working hard on another game. The two that you guys have, I had Jack on episode 3, which was, funny enough, 10 episodes ago. And he, was just talking about games in the works. So we're all, I think, waiting with bated breath here.
Yeah, no, this week, we promise, Spark, the main character, got a little too carried away on his seaside adventure. So, he missed the launch last week, which it's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. So it's just, he's got to get it together this week. But no, we, obviously dealing with the Apple Store and or App Store and Google Play is always a challenge. But that's something that I love about what we do is, having our apps in those like very accessible, very familiar, very safe feeling places. It makes it easy for people to download our games and earn or win their first sat. And so obviously with being in having accessibility in those stores makes things challenging. So we were just dealing with some full disclosure, just dealing with some App Store and Google Play Store intricacies, but we did blame it on Spark and being hungover, but that's okay.
Oh, Spark, he looks fun, or she, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I'm not sure of the cat's gender. I'm not sure that I can ask, or maybe HR will be after me, but
good point.
Yeah, but it is fun to like blame all your problems on a fictional character, so
Yeah.
With the territory of the job. So no, but it's been absolutely amazing. I couldn't have asked for anything better. Jack and I have we've known each other for quite some time. We actually met in VR in alt space. That was the first time we ever met. So yeah, it's crazy to like be, I feel like one of the closest relationships you can have is with like, someone that you're working, like doing a startup with, especially like co-founding. And so I'm really glad to be on this journey with him. And we have a couple other co-founders as well. So it's just like a really great team. And I will like set the record straight. Like I know some people were like really mad that Jack like gave more like me specifically a co-founder title, which I thought was interesting. But we do have a couple other co-founders as well. But Jack really kind of viewed this as like a new birth for the company, like a new stage in the company. And I've seen Thunder grow for a very, very long time, and Jack and I have been close and have always tried to help him out where I could. So I've been on the Thunder journey for some time. I've always been kind of Team Thunder. So now it's just totally official. But yeah, super excited.
That's amazing. Well, I know you guys at least go back. I was listening to Andre from Zebedee on the recent Lightning Junkies podcast, and he mentioned that you three, Jack, you, and Andre, were kind of instrumental in MintGox. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, that is how Jack and I met. Funny enough, we were obviously both at the Lightning Conference back in 2019, and that's where I kind of started thinking about, okay, this whole gaming as a use case for the Lightning Network became really interesting to me. I mean, one, unfairly, like, I love gaming. I love video games. I always have. But, I also viewed it as, okay, if we're going to get people using Lightning, get people onboarded to Bitcoin, there's no better way to do that than through games, because it's easy, it feels safe. You just go, especially with Thunder, you just go to the App Store, like I said earlier, and download an app, and you play, and you win your first sats. Like our Chief Product Officer, Greg, he won his first sat in a Thunder game, and which is really incredible. And a lot of folks, that's how they are coming to Bitcoin, and that's like a big part of our mission is to bringing Bitcoin to people through fun games where it's just very easy to do. And so, yeah, at the Lightning Conference, I moderated a panel with like Lightning Koala, Carlos from Satoshi's Games, Khan from Donner Lab was there. And so that like kind of really, I feel like the Lightning Conference really kind of kicked off the discourse around, okay, how can we bring Bitcoin to gaming using the Lightning Network? And that also, Zebedee was like really kind of like coming out at that conference, and we're demoing a lot of their games, their Reiki game, I think it was called. And so I think people started to really notice, and Jack was there, and he had just been kind of tinkering, and he was showing off I was actually looking through tweets the other day, and he was like demoing Bitcoin Bounce for the first time at the Lightning conference. Unfortunately, we never got to meet, but it's really funny because now like going through and, doing fundraising stuff and just doing operational type of stuff. Like I go through the paperwork for the company because we're, UK or London-based company, and he literally, it's like the cutest thing ever. He literally started Thunder the day he got back from the Lightning conference. So he was like totally inspired, and it's just like really cool. So that's like a fun fact. And then, so that was really exciting. And then, I had spoken at Magical Crypto Conference in New York City that year, and was working with the guys there and to kind of like get a esports like kind of gaming showcase together for that event. But obviously it was canceled because this was COVID. And I don't even remember, but like I know Simon and I were definitely on a call, and we're talking. We're like, okay, this really sucks. Zebedee was planning on doing a big thing at MCC, and I was like, okay, I don't know. And I'm sure it was Simon's idea. Simon is like such a smart guy, and he was like, let's just try and do something online. And so him, myself, Andre, Chris, Moss, Mandelduck, and Jack were all like, okay, let's try and do this thing virtually. And so we started MintGox. I believe it was March or April of 2020. Yeah, and we're like, okay, let's do a monthly showcase to show what people are building, what kind of games people are building on Bitcoin. And that's what it became. And, there's a big esports component to it. We had some awesome sponsors. Bitrefill was a huge sponsor, Bitstamp. And yeah, it just like kind of grew to a decently sized event that people were really excited about. So, yeah, and it definitely spread awareness. So I think, people are aware of Bitcoin gaming because of that, and obviously a lot because of this whole like new craze with blockchain gaming and NFTs and whatnot. So, yeah, that's where it kind of all started. And, Jack and I met in VR when we had like a VR event for MintGox. So it was so funny.
That's hilarious. And now
we met. We actually finally did meet in the fall when I was like taking a few months to just like take a break. And we met in Europe. So it was crazy meeting for the first time.
I think though that's how a lot of this is going to go down, especially for generations below us, is they'll probably meet virtually way longer before they actually meet each other in person.
Oh, I definitely think so. Especially like, yeah, with just remote work. I mean, even, at Lightning Labs, a lot of folks joined during the pandemic or after the pandemic, and there were folks that, we hadn't really met. I mean, Ryan Gentry and I met briefly at the Lightning conference, but then, we like worked together like, like two peas in a pod for so long before actually meeting in person. And it was like, oh my God, this is so weird. I remember like giving him a hug and being like, oh my God, like you're real. And and obviously the in-person stuff like just strengthens the bond. But like, I think with people you can get very close virtually. So I don't know. I agree though that we will start interacting more virtually. Yeah. Especially with this whole metaverse thing. So.
Oh man. Well, we can dive into that. I want to leave that for just a little bit later because I found out some interesting things about you. Kind of going a little bit backwards, I really want to hear your Bitcoin origin story and how you got from what I found out is like being in the biology and sciences to Bitcoin and Lightning.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is like super crazy. I mean, just like even like when we were applying for like another bank, which that's you should do a podcast about banking for, Bitcoin companies. That's like a whole thing people don't talk about. But one of the people at the bank were like, I looked at your profile, like, what is going on with your life? And I was like, okay, whoa, judgment. But yeah, no. So, I mean, I started, I mean, you know, I don't find any of this weird because I just kind of go, like I was saying earlier, like I just go with the flow. It's like whatever kind of, you know, presents itself as fun and interesting and something that I can be passionate about, I kind of just do. But, you know, I started like very, very early, which I don't think most people know. Like I learned to like oil paint before I could ever read. So like, you know, my mom had always kind of raised me in like an art setting. So it was like very creative. Like that's, you know, everyone thought I was going to art school, hands down. Which is so funny. But that's kind of now I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be because that's kind of very creative, you know, space because like that's how I was raised and, you know, how I kind of grew up. And then, but then I was like, you know what? My mom always would tell her friends like, oh, my daughter's going to be a starving artist. And I was like, okay, that's not glamorous. Thanks, Mom. So I was like, okay, I need to like make money so I don't live in the middle of nowhere in Ohio. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to like go into the sciences, which I actually really do love science. And I mean, I really love and I like love animals and creatures. I like really like insects. And so I was like, okay, I'll go into biology. Maybe I'll become a doctor. Maybe I'll do research or whatever. So I went to school and yeah, majored in biology. Like I focused on like ecology and evolution and then also separately endocrinology. So like I kind of, those were my focuses in biology. And then I also minored in visual arts as well. And then I was like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And, you know, admittedly, like, UChicago doesn't really teach you any practical skills, like how to get a job. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll go to grad school and just take out more student loans, which is super smart. And I did my master's in biophysics and physiology. And then I was like, okay, I did a few things. I was like, I am not going to medical school because I will never financially recover from all of those student loans. And then 2, I was like, okay, I'm not going to do research. I did do a decent amount of research in ecology and evolution and, like, was published in genetics. And I was like, okay, like, I was working with fruit flies. They were always in my hair. I was alone all the time. I was like, this is not what... I mean, I really enjoyed the work, but I was like, as a lifestyle, I don't think, like, this fits for me. Like, being isolated with fruit flies was not the look I was going for. So I was like, let's do what everyone else is doing and let's become a management consultant so you can make a crap ton of money and just be miserable, which was a very good trade-off at the time. So I started doing consulting work. I worked on a contract on the Affordable Care Act with like healthcare.gov for a few years, and that was like the first year of the ACA, so it was absolutely miserable. I had to go to Dulles, Virginia every day, which is even more soul-sucking. And I did that for quite some time and transitioned to a boutique firm. And it was like interesting. It paid well. And so, funny enough, when I was in grad school, because I went right from undergrad, I didn't have any friends because I was like, 5 years old and like everybody else had families and were real adults. And so I just like was on Reddit all the time. I had no friends. I was in a new city in DC. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'm on Reddit, and I spend way too much time on Reddit still today. And I stumbled on our Dogecoin, and I was like, oh my gosh, these people are so nice and funny, and this is awesome. Like, there's a currency where we're like paying for like a bobsled team and a NASCAR. Like, this is hilarious. Like, some like college bowl. Like, it's like ultimate memeing. It's ultimate trolling the universe. So I always thought that was hilarious. And, I spend time on the interwebs, and even through my consulting, I was like, oh my God, like, the government is evil. Like, this is awful. And it kind of clicked to me, because then I was like, oh, Bitcoin. Like, Bitcoin actually solves a lot of, like, the problems that we have. It's like, fuck the Fed. Like, let's actually recreate sound money or create sound money, since, you know, we can't do that ourselves as a government. And so finally I was just getting so mad. And, you know, I was just like rage tweeting constantly. I had to block everyone at my consulting firm so they wouldn't see my tweets. And then, yeah. And then, you know, I worked on did a few projects on the side to just like try and get involved. And then, I was connected to Elizabeth, and like we were chatting via DM, and, she was like, yeah, we need like some operations help, and so I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I quit my job. My last day was a Friday, and Saturday I flew to Lisbon for our like first team retreat. And yeah, like over 3.5 years later, and now I'm here. So it's a lot, admittedly, but it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, go with the flow.
See, I don't know. So yeah, it's been kind of a ride, but now I do feel like, you know, obviously I love Lightning Labs. Those people are my family, and, you know, I still maintain to this day it's the best team in Bitcoin, and love everything that they're doing, all the people. And so, you know, I just think, you know, right now, like this is a perfect place for me. I think it like really hits on a lot of the things I'm passionate about. I can be super creative. I can work on Bitcoin, and, you know, the biology thing is still here. I'm still trying to pitch this frog game to the team, but
Okay, that's where the frog memes come from.
I just love frog memes. Like, who doesn't love frog memes? They're so funny.
I think you like introduced me to frog memes because I didn't really know about frog memes before.
I need to start like a Telegram channel where I just like give people frog. Actually, I'll do that today. I'll start a channel, and then people can tip me with like LNTX bot for my memes.
There you go.
Or maybe I'll go do it on Sphinx, so then people can actually pay me.
They
See what Bitcoin makes possible?
They can stream you sats for frog memes.
Yeah, and maybe I'll quit Thunder and just become like a frog meme lord.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could. I think Jack might be a little upset about that, but...
Totally kidding.
And the rest.
Yeah, so now I'm here. Now I'm super excited. It has been a little bit of a journey, but, you know, who doesn't like a good roller coaster, right?
Yeah, well, we're in Bitcoin, so that's like the thing.
I know.
Well, that's amazing. So you talked a little bit about it, but like, why Thunder? Why now? What was kind of the biggest draw for you?
You know, for me, it was like, I had always just, you know, been preaching Bitcoin gaming and been so passionate about it, and, you know, really, truly 100% believe that, like, you know, if I see gaming being ubiquitous in the future where everything is a game, you know, I have my own idea of the metaverse, but, you know, I think any vision of the future is going to involve gaming and like a giant social aspect of gaming. I mean, all gaming now is incredibly social. Like, if you look at, you know, how people interact in Fortnite, you know, any of these games, like, people are chatting, like they view it as like it's kind of a new social network. Mm-hmm. And I think that's only going to continue to evolve. And so I think that the place that people are going to be most often is where those social interactions are happening, which are going to be happening in games. And so it only makes sense, like, the only thing that's missing there is, like, okay, we can, you know, have fun, like, transact through fun and, like, just the social interaction. We can, like, chat, again, the social interaction. And then, like, the last thing that's missing with, like, that type of transaction is, like, a monetary transaction and the ability to, like, earn and win. And, you know, you also have the transactions of, like, in-game assets, which, you know, I mean, we can get into the whole NFT thing, but, you know, I think that's how people are going to operate. And whether that's, like, some, like, weird version of the metaverse where everyone's in VR. I doubt it, but you know, like I used to play Second Life. Like I would start playing Second Life today if they put Satoshis in it. And that's just kind of how I view things evolving. Like I really think that that's the future, and so you know, the ability to like help shape that future was really compelling. And I think, you know, it was also, I do think like all of this hype with like Axie Infinity and like all these blockchain games and those companies seeing significant investments and significant interest from, you know, just from broader audiences is just really a good time for like Bitcoin gaming to come on the scene. So like very much hoping to like ride this wave. But you know, when Jack approached me, like to be quite honest, like I never liked mobile games. Like I played one, it was Insane Aquarium. You know, I started playing a few more, but it's like I like to like sit down, you know, on my Switch or, you know, my PlayStation and play games. But, so I didn't technically get it, but then when Jack approached me, he was like, hey, and I was like, you know, I didn't think that it would be mobile games would be the thing I was doing, but then I started doing the research, and I started looking into, like, okay, like, if I'm going to just even consider this, what does this industry actually look like? And I was like, oh. I was shocked. I was like blown away. I mean, mobile gaming makes up over 60% of all of gaming combined. Makes up more than console and desktop gaming combined. Like, what? So, and it's only growing. So, like, the future is mobile. So, the metaverse, in my opinion, will be mobile. So, people don't want to sit down at their computers and play games anymore. These kids don't want to, like, be, you know, tied down to sitting in front of their TV. They want to be on the go. Like, they want to be on their phone. They want to be on tablets. I mean, literally, I, like, implore anyone who's listening to this podcast and you to, next time you get on a plane or a bus or you literally go anywhere, just look around and see how many people are playing mobile games. It's insane. Like, people, like, kids, obviously, but then older adults, too. My mom plays mobile games all the time, which is weird. I was looking at her phone and I was like, what is this weird game? And she's like into it. I mean, it's wild. The large, like one of the fastest growing like user segments for mobile games is women between the ages of like 35 and 50. And they're the highest paying customers as well. So it just like is all so intriguing to me. And I'm like, okay, obviously there's a huge opportunity here that a lot of people aren't targeting. And also the fact that mobile games are a lot more accessible to, you know, audiences who don't have the resources to like be playing on like a high powered like gaming rig or, you know, a console, so people can just play on their phones. I mean, even in El Salvador, like Free Fire is like one of the most popular games, and it's not resource intensive at all. And you know, I think even Sergey from Bitrefill has said that Free Fire, that their users more than anything else buy gift cards for that game specifically in all of El Salvador. That's their highest grossing product. So, you know, right? Like I had no idea. So when I started doing this, I was like, okay, there's just like so much untapped potential. And, you know, there's a lot of popularity with like games like Skills where you can like earn real money. And, you know, but there's a lot of people who are trying to do these things and they're not doing it right. And they're not improving what gaming with real value, with mobile gaming with real value looks like. And I was like, okay, like I think that there's a ton of potential here, and you know, I think Bitcoin can improve it, and I honestly think that this is a team that can like really make mobile gaming with Bitcoin happen. So I was sold.
That's amazing. And you wrote a tweet too, to get into what you just said. It was, I think, last week, but it was your hot take on like, if we don't use Bitcoin in gaming, we essentially replicate what we're trying to replace because we're using like an inflationary token or something. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, and I mean, people had some like really good thoughts on that and why like I was wrong, which I thought were really great, and I didn't have the time to like say something back, but I thought they were really good. I mean, so I was chatting with someone last week, and we were just talking about a lot of these games that have, you know, tokens in them, and, you know, they're trying to, like, make blockchain gaming happen, and, you know, I'm not saying they won't, like, I can't figure it out, like, and, you know, I don't knock things before I try them, but, you know, to me personally, and, like, if I'm going to work on something, you know, I don't want to work on something where we're just recreating what we set out to solve. So obviously this country is a fucking mess, and one of the reasons being inflation. Like, we just keep printing money, and that's effectively what, you know, these games who are creating these tokens are doing. They're just printing money. So I don't understand how you can be in a game and be like, oh wow, like I'm going to like create content for this game, I'm going to spend time in this game because I truly believe that I will earn value. Like, I will earn something of substance that I can take out of this game and like mean something in the real world. But, you know, I'm fine doing that with a game. I'm fine not having value if like that's very apparent up front. Like, if I go play Mario Kart and I win a bunch of tokens, it's worth shit, right? And I'm fine with that because like the real value is the fun that I'm having. But these games promise that, like, maybe they don't promise, but like it's assumed that you will earn money from it. But I mean, so then you're just, again, trusting someone that they're going to maintain the supply that they've said they had and like issue assets at like the rate that they said they would issue them. And you're basically, again, relying on a centralized party to do this, and it's bound to be a disaster. So, I mean, I think what is great about games, and someone had made a point about, okay, games are like the greatest place to experiment with new economies and experiment with new like money supply models or whatever. And I was like, okay, that is like very, very interesting. And I think that people should experiment, but I think a lot of people are just defaulting to what they know best, which is a broken monetary system. And so they just do what the Fed does and just print money in game. And so, I mean, I think there's a lot of like hype, and a lot of like people are having a blast playing these games, and people are earning money right now. But I think that they're, at the end of the day, like, it's just like a value sink, and these games are going to be stripped of value. And I think that people know that in the back of their heads, but they just plan to fix it down the road once they've raised, like, you know, $500 million from A16Z, which is fine. And I'm not about that. Like, I want to make our in-game economies make sense up front, and I want to make them work. And, you know, that's why we have, like, Greg, our CPO. He thinks so much about gaming economies and is constantly thinking about like how we can make it work. And you know what, honestly, maybe games can be the test bed for like what economies should really look like. But you know, people have been playing with that forever. So
I think it's pretty epic that Greg earned his first sats playing a Thunder game.
I know. Well, that's you know, and that's what I really valued Jack with like kind of building out this team was, you know, he doesn't. Obviously, Bitcoin is like very important to him, and you know, running our own node and like, you know, being as non-custodial as possible is like definitely a goal. But like when it comes to games, like, you know, his kind of thesis with like team development was like, listen, I want to create the best mobile games. You know, Jack has had, I mean, Jack is a very humble guy, but he won't tell you, he's had like 2 number 1 games in the App Store. So they're like, he's really good at creating mobile games. And so he was like, listen, like, this is never going to work if you do not have the best mobile games. And so he brought on 3 other folks. So Raphael, who's like an insane game developer, Matt, who's like super just knows everything about like how to build a game studio and how to recruit and how to, you know, partner and publish and do all of these things. And then Greg, who's like a behavioral psychologist, who's like been literally, this guy builds games in Excel just for fun. Like it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And like I went to his house, and he and his family build board games for themselves. They have like tons of them. So he's constantly building games. So he's been thinking about these things forever. And like when he came to Bitcoin, he was like, holy shit, like you can do a lot with this. So Jack has like really thought about, okay, I'm going to bring the best game developers that I can find and the best like gaming studio I can develop, and then I'm going to make them Bitcoiners. Because that was much easier to convert people to loving and being passionate about Bitcoin than it was to like make a bunch of Bitcoiners really great game devs. So so that's how he's like kind of built out the team. And I feel like I'm totally off of your question now, but
no, this is great. Like Jack orange pilling game devs who become Bitcoiners, and then they create awesome games that create more Bitcoiners.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Rafael, is that his name?
Rafael. Yeah.
Rafael. He initiated me into the one sat gang, so that was cool.
Yes. That's awesome.
And then a couple weeks ago with your competition, I lost to you, but you still gave me a sat, which was amazing.
Okay, the one sat gang is just amazing. And it's just so funny to be in it now, because I used to, you know, with MintGox, you know, we have these awesome big prize pools, and Jack and I would be like, Jack, like, here's 500,000 sats to give out. And he's like, no, he's like, but like the psychology behind the games that we have, at least now, is like, it's the bigger prizes don't really even like increase engagement. So like thinking about all these things about engagement and retention, and I mean, you would not believe like the metrics and like the data that you know, Jack really looks at, and like thinking about how to like optimize these games. But you know, it's giving out like 1,000 sat prizes like every day to people is not like, didn't actually incentivize people coming back. So the smaller rewards are really successful, but the one sat gang is like a whole other thing. And if people aren't aware, there is like, I don't even know where it came from, but there's like ways you can win one Satoshi. And one of them is like, you know, like I gave everyone one sat, but you literally, your prize is one Satoshi, and people go wild for it. Like, I am not even part of the one sat gang. And people like, we're experimenting with some cool stuff with like badges and stuff for people who are part of the one sat gang. But for now it's like a hashtag. So like, congratulations on being the one sat gang. I'm the CEO, and I don't even get to be in the one sat gang. But people love it. So we have a great community. We do.
Yeah. It's been fun. Someone even made that like GIF that's like welcome, and it's like goes across the screen in pink, and just the branding, of course, with Thunder is part of the reason I keep coming back. The games are super fun. That's number one. The branding's incredible. So
yeah, I think, you know, the games stress me out. These games, I'm more of like an idle clicker, which everyone's teaching me so much, because I'm like more new to like the mobile gaming stuff. So they're like, there's different types of games, obviously, but there's a hyper casual category called idle. It's like an idle game, and it's like, the way Greg described it, he's like 13-year-old girls just like put their phone under their leg in class, and they just click click to like get more coins. And I was like, oh my god, I'm still like a 13-year-old girl, because this is my favorite game. So, you know, we are the game that's coming out hopefully tomorrow or Thursday, probably Thursday. It's definitely a different style, but it's so fun. I really like it. But yeah, the brand is very strong, and so I'm glad people are excited about that. But yeah, the community is amazing. We had one guy who has recently done like some really cool like 3D mapping of Iran, and he has like put us like little like monuments to the team in it, and it's like the coolest thing ever. I'm like, it just people is like constantly doing fun stuff. So if folks aren't a part of the Telegram or Discord, like I highly recommend going in there. I hate Telegram, and I love being in the group with with Team Thunder or Thunder Fam, whatever we call them these days. But it's a lot of fun. So
that's cool. That's cool. Well, one thing too that you said, I don't know if it was at Adopting Bitcoin last month or a podcast from earlier this year, but you were talking, I think it must have been last week or last month at Adopting Bitcoin, but you were talking about just how like people without money, like without using money, I should say, people are like receiving sats, and that's like crazy in and of itself through gaming.
Yeah, and I think if you think about like onboarding paths, there's the one that people are most familiar with is going to Coinbase and uploading a photo of your passport, like giving, like, selling your soul, like sacrificing your firstborn, and then it's like, okay, and then you gotta give us some money, and it's like, oh. Like, okay, now, like, this is, like, to someone who doesn't really, like, grok Bitcoin totally, they're like, oh, my God, now I have my hard-earned money. I have to give to this website. This all seems really sketch to me, and now I don't know what I'm doing if I'm going to lose it. I don't know if someone's going to steal it. And, most of these fears are not true, but, like, this is how you feel. So I feel like there's just so many hurdles to, like, getting your first Bitcoin. I mean, I just like think about it. My first time was like incredibly hard. I mean, that was forever ago, but even my mom the other day, she wanted to like pay me back for something, and I said the only way I'll accept your money is if you send it in Bitcoin. And which is kind of unfair because I don't want her to pay me back, but she couldn't even really, it wasn't super intuitive even on Venmo. And so there's just like so many hurdles. And then, but for gaming, it's like, okay, if I can go download these games in the App Store, which I do all the time, I download things in the App Store. I've played games before. Or if I, a little bit harder, but like similarly, like, if I'm familiar with Steam, like I can just go download Zebedee's like infusion tool, and I just start playing. Right? The app is on my phone. Like, you've done it. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to put in any information. And then you just start winning. You just start stacking sats. And it's just pretty incredible. I mean, obviously there is, like, a little bit of KYC on the other end, or they're, at certain thresholds. But, like, to earn your first sat, you don't have to do any of that. You just have to play. So not only do you just get the normal fun reward of just playing the game, there is you stack sats. And so if you have even 5 sats, you're not going to like delete the game. You're not going to, I don't know, just like get rid of those sats. Like, it basically forces you, like, psychologically, you're like, okay, even if I don't understand what it is, I have 100 sats, I have 1,000 sats. I don't want to lose those, even if I don't really understand it. So I'm at least going to go download, Wallet of Satoshi or Breeze, and I'm going to at least cash out to those wallets. And so you have literally effectively given someone their first sats, so they've become a Bitcoiner, and then you force them to learn how to use a wallet, because they already have skin in the game. They already have value, so they're like, well, this was free. I'll learn it. So it's like a very, very strong incentive, not to just like give people sats. It's an incredibly strong incentive to teach them, or have them teach themselves how to download a wallet and cash out their sats. And, we are working on making that flow more simple and like helping people do that. But we haven't really had to. People have wanted to figure it out on their own, and they have figured it out on their own. And it's just incredible. Like, now we have all these people who are experimenting with different wallets, who are really well versed in all of this, who were completely new to Bitcoin before they downloaded one of our games. And I think that's just something super incredible that I don't see in any other use case. Like, I don't see the same, for most other things, like even podcasting, you know what I mean? Like, you still have to like get sats to participate, right? So you still have to go through that normal flow. Gaming is, I think, completely unique, and I think we can really create a lot of Bitcoiners this way.
Yeah, I think the onboarding flow could start with gaming, and then they're pulling their sats, when they win, to a wallet like Breeze that is also a podcasting wallet.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, cool, I can send Jon sats. No, I'm just kidding. But I can send this podcaster sats, and that's kind of cool. So it just creates this new circle of economy.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone should send their Thunder sats to Breeze. Shout out, Roy. Love you. And then they should spend them on Changing the Tide podcast. 100%.
Wow. You heard it from Des, people. You heard it from Des.
That's what I'm about to do.
I love it. Changing the tide, though, that's the concept is like Bitcoin, especially on Lightning. We've had this creep for 50 to 100 years into authoritarianism, based, like what you said, on essentially the Fed trying to own everything, including our souls. And Bitcoin on Lightning is that gravitational force that's like changing the tide for individuals to have more freedom, more prosperity, more fun. Thunder Games, other games. So when you talk about the metaverse, in your mind, like, is it like a dual metaverse where there are Bitcoiners who are running their own Bitcoin and Lightning nodes, and then there's like A16Z basically funding the rest of it? And like, what, when you say the metaverse is going to go mobile, kind of what, expand on that more. I'm really interested.
I mean, I really have hope for the whole world, for everyone, even people, like, even shitcoiners. Like, I really have hope. I think eventually everyone will come to Bitcoin. I think, like, after the ICO craziness, like, a lot of people came to Bitcoin, and they saw, like, they saw the light, and we created more Bitcoiners. And now we have, like, all of these crazy... I don't even know what's going on anymore, to be honest. We had, like, the whole DeFi thing. I don't even know what people... I mean, like, I think there's been some good stuff to come out of, like, DeFi, and we have, like, actual good tools for, like, earning on yield on Bitcoin. And then, now I think we have, like, this NFT craze, and I think there's a lot of value with NFTs if they're done right and they are used in the right way. And so I think after every peak, like, I think most people will come to Bitcoin or just exit entirely. And so I think it's just going to take, like, several of these cycles until people are like, okay, yes, it is harder to build on Bitcoin, but it's more sustainable. And, I mean, like, it's really, it's like, it's a long haul effort, right? Like, for me, it's like, it is, like, much harder to think about, like, hey, if we ever did NFTs, it's much harder to do it on Bitcoin, right? But, like, I think if we do it on Bitcoin, it will last longer and it will make more sense and it'll be better for, better for the business. So I do have hope that, like, eventually it will just be Bitcoin in the metaverse. So I don't know. Like, I don't even know what the metaverse even means anymore. Like, we've come so far from, like, Snow Crash. Like, I just, like, don't, now it's Facebook. So, yeah, I think Bitcoin is, like, the first step to the metaverse. And, like, that is what we should be focusing on. Like, I don't care what the metaverse looks like or what it's going to be like. And, maybe it will be different for other people. But, like, I really just think the first step is getting everybody using the same currency. Like, and then once we're all using the same currency, like, we're all kind of contributing to, like, one closely knit economy, and we can all transact. So it's like, people now in El Salvador can easily, exchange with someone across the world. Whereas, like, if they didn't have a bank before, like, how were they doing that? And so I think enabling everyone to transact with each other and connecting the world with Bitcoin is like the first step to the metaverse. And like what it looks like afterwards, like I'm not about to be super picky, but I think like at that point we'll have like a much more like fair and equitable economy. And I think like that's the foundation of what the metaverse will be. And at that point, who cares if it's a metaverse? It'll just be a much better world. And I think like, you know, screw everything else. If we can just like give people that, I think like that will be the most important thing of our generation.
Wow. Is that why you joined Lightning Labs in the first place? Like you caught that vision several years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, Elizabeth and Lalu are like incredibly mission-driven people, and, you know, like Elizabeth is very, very much about, you know, empowering the next billion people with Bitcoin, and I think that is like a very, very incredible statement, incredible mission. And yeah, I mean, I think so long ago it was just so interesting that this could be possible. And like, you know, 4 years ago it was like, you know, there's like payments failing all the time still. You know, people were like, well, you really think this is going to like be faster than Visa, do more transactions per second than Visa? And it's like, now it's like, okay, yeah, we 100% believe that. And now we know that, like, being in El Salvador, it was incredible to see, like, this is real. Like, I mean, I spent so many sats on everything, which I know people are like, don't send your Bitcoin, but it's like, chill, like, I can buy it back. And I mean, just so many things. And I think that was, you know, my husband Hank, it was like, that was the first time. He has his stages of being orange pilled, and he's pretty orange pilled now, but, you know, that was really incredible for him. Like, he had mostly just bought Bitcoin up until El Salvador. You know, obviously I forced him to like have a Lightning wallet and showed him how to make transactions and taught him about it. But, you know, it was like, he's like, oh, I'm sending you Bitcoin. I'm sending you like a few sats. Like, it didn't really click for him. But when he bought his first beer at Candle Hater's like Bitcoin beer tap, he was like, oh, okay. Like, I get it. I mean, he was like, that is when it really hit for him. It was just like so awesome to see. And then, you know, the rest of the time, like, you know, somebody would need cash for something, and he's like, oh, I'll give you cash. Like, just like pay me in Bitcoin, like pay me back in Bitcoin. And so it was like super cool to see him in action and like him get it for the first time. And, you know, we took surfing lessons, and, you know, to pay in Bitcoin, he was like, oh, wow. Like, and then the surf instructor was telling us a lot about, like, you know, like, I'm teaching everybody else how to do this. And, you know, he's like, Bitcoin has changed my life. And, you know, just saying how it's like really improved his business. And it was just really incredible being there. So it's like just seeing Justin Alzante and in San Salvador, and, you know, getting bigger in El Salvador, it's like this, seeing it in person is like, I highly recommend people go down there and see it themselves. Like, it's really, really incredible to see what we thought 4 years ago was going to happen, that we were really going to change the world and change the way that people can live and transact in society, actually is happening now. Like, it wasn't just like some pipe dream. It's like, we thought it would happen and we made it happen, and it's like our thesis was true, which is, I don't think a lot of people get to experience it, and like this entire community, like every person has contributed to that. So I think that's just incredible. Like, the Bitcoin community should be like Time Person of the Year at some point. So,
see, well, like, it's that, not to, I mean, pun intended, but like, it's the intellectual spark of Lightning and what it can be that like Mike took down and introduced a couple of people there in the community, and it spread like wildfire.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, is that I feel like, unfortunately, sometimes it just takes people absolutely needing it to adopt, whereas like so many people here in the U.S. are like, I'm just so used to this, and what I'm doing is working. And unfortunately, and I hope this isn't the case, that we get to the point that, people absolutely need Bitcoin because, like, inflation is so bad, like, their money's being seized, or, those type of things. I hope that's not what forces adoption. Like, I hope that people are like, oh, wow, I actually see the value in this before I need it. Otherwise, I think, we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. I'm hoping people get the spark before they actually need it. But we shall see. Well, Des, this has been super fun. I want you to be able to plug away at where people can find you, Thunder, and so they can find everything Thunder Games.
Yeah, well, definitely go to thunder.gg or thunder.games, both the same thing. There's links to all of our games on there and just like fun stuff we're working on. Thursday, be on the lookout for our new game drop, our game launch. So that is 100% coming out. Play it, test it, tell us what you love, especially tell us what you hate. I love getting the angry tweets and the angry messages. Like, I just think it's so funny. So please do that. You feel free to tag me directly in your complaints. It is at Dickerson_Des. I am happy to serve as customer support. All feedback is good, but definitely just get out there, trying the game, join our Telegram, which is also available. The link is on the website. Try out what we're doing, and everybody who's building games on Bitcoin specifically. So Zebedee and Satoshi's games, like, go to those places and try them out and see how easy they are, and just share the word, and let us know what you think. We have some actual. We'll have to come on again soon and tell you more about some other things in the business that we'll be releasing early next year, outside of just mobile games. So, there's a lot more in Thunder. So excited to tell the world about that. But yeah, just check out our website, and if you have any questions, my DMs are open. And if you want to join my frog meme group, just message me on Twitter too.
Well, you mentioned you mentioned other things coming for Thunder. I'm guessing you're talking about games, but I hope it's another merch drop with Sam in the Lightning store.
Okay, yeah, we are definitely gonna do another merch drop. I don't even know what to do yet, but we'll definitely do something fun. We'll do more merch drops. But yes, way more games. We have so many games in the works, but even more fun stuff outside of games. So.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, that's a little hint that nobody's gotten yet. So.
Stay tuned, everyone. Well, thanks for swinging by, Des. It was fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a lot of fun having guests on. That was a really fun episode with Des. She is really sharp, and it was cool to hear Bitcoin's story, as she explains it, and realizing working essentially in the seat of government that basically rules at least the Western world there in DC, and realizing through Reddit and other research she was doing how messed up things are. It just cracks me up. It reminds me of my story, actually. I was an educator in a public charter school network, actually two of them in California, the state of California, two different cities. And one quick stint in Connecticut, actually at a public magnet school for gifted and talented children in inner city Hartford area, Connecticut. But just all of my work there made me realize the state of the mess. And so it's kind of cool to see someone else who had essentially a very similar experience and now are working outside of that. Specifically on Lightning. I mean, she has a front row seat to Lightning's growth there at Lightning Labs starting in 2018, and just thinking about the mission of bringing more Bitcoiners into existence through gaming, which is probably one of the easiest onboarding tools, I think. You can win sats. There's no KYC, which really should make every Bitcoiner happy going into Coinbase or any other for that matter where you have to KYC. And don't get me wrong, I have KYC sats. I can say that on here because those who actually it matters to know already know or have a way of knowing. So in any case, the idea of KYC, non-KYC sats through gaming, that's pretty sweet. And it'll be very interesting to see over time which financial institutions choose to do business with companies like THNDR Games and others. The idea of Bitcoin payroll and Bitcoin banking for companies that are starting up in the Bitcoin space. It'll just be very interesting to see the growth of that as they try to spread freedom and prosperity and fun to billions of people worldwide. So the mission's there. It's super exciting with Des there along with Jack and the team that they put together, Greg, Matt, Rafal, who initiated me into the One Sat gang. So still huge cheers to Rafal. Just an exciting community they're building there at THNDR. Did not get any sats for my last episode with Corey, but Des said she was going to go on and stream sats on Breeze to Changing the Tide. So I'm going to hold her to it if I don't see him by next episode. But yeah, looking forward to having them on down the line. They're growing quick and doing some really cool stuff. Subscribe, please give a boost, stream sats if you like it. Give me messages, like Des said, messages for THNDR, even if they're critical. Please send it along. I want to make this the best podcast that it can be each session, trying to bring on people who are just electrifying the Bitcoin and Lightning space. So I will look forward to seeing you next time. The best is literally to support on the Value for Value apps. So I'm live on podcastindex.org. That's the podcasting 2.0 kind of hub. I'm live on Fountain, Breeze, not on Sphinx yet. I have not gotten an invite, but maybe I'll have Paul Itoy on, who founded it, and maybe he'll invite me. And anyone else that actually has the Value for Value model enabled. I'm also on Apple, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn, and all that. But looking forward to seeing you next time. And I will be out until after the Christmas and New Year's period, spending time with fam. And who knows, maybe we'll see Bitcoin do another moonshot at that point. In any case, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we'll see you in 2022.